Welcome to the front brake video. 2018 Subaru Outback. We're going to do front brakes right now. For jacking position, I chose to go on the engine cradle. There's a mount down under there, a bolt that goes into the cradle, hooks to the body. You don't want to get on the lower control arm on these, you'll bend them. It's not like the back. The back you can get on the lower control arm if you go right underneath where the shock bolts. But on the front, you want to get it on the cradle. And you take your 19mm bolts off, or nuts off. And we'll set our tire off to the side. As far as I know, these are your basic run-of-the-mill disc brakes on this car. So they should be fairly easy to do. They are a double piston. You can tell because of the way that it is. Might have to do like we did on the back. So let me go grab my double piston caliper tool and we'll get started. All right, we're going to need our 2 bolts that we used on the back. So we got those right here. We're going to go ahead and get those inserted for the front rotor. If you want to spray this down with some lube, you can. This one doesn't have much of a rust ridge on it, so I don't think we're going to have any problems getting it off. Now this one, like I said, basically your run-of-the-mill front caliper setup. It's a double piston. It's a 14mm socket. I got to find my long ratchet so I can get those broke loose. Need your hook for this job. We're going to try to go as quickly as we can because we're running out of daylight and it's getting noisy out. So start off by pull your brake hose back so you can get your socket in there. And once you get it broke loose, you can come back in with your electric ratchet and zip them out of there. Or you might be able to spin them out by hand because sometimes they get loose enough where you can do that. We're just going to zip them out with the ratchet because it's faster. And we'll set our bolts over here on our tire. That way we don't forget where we put them. Now these slides here, they have a spot where you can put a wrench on it if you have problems with it coming off. So let's see, we need to grab our caliper and pull back a little bit. That way we get it loose. And then we can pull our caliper off. And I don't think I've used this tool on the channel yet, so let's go ahead and I'll show you how this double piston caliper tool works. First thing you got to do is you got to push this button down here, and that moves this slide out a little bit. You got to hold the tool in upside down, and then you press your little arm here, slide this down, and then you lock it in like that, and then you can press back like this. You can put a pad in there if you want to, but you don't have to. And that just locks in like that, and then you can press this down. And just equal pressure against the caliper. Just press it down until it stops. Just like that. That's how this tool works. See that? We are flat up against the bore. And then to release, you just push this tab right here. Well, you're supposed to be able to push this tab right here. And then we'll take this and hang it up here out of the way, like that. All right, and we'll take this apart now. We can use our S hook. Well, we can't because we're using it for something else. All right, let me see if I got something. Let me grab a screwdriver real quick. We'll pry that out of there. All right, guys, here we go. Now our brake hardware is in the new kit. I'll give you the part number for that here in a minute. All right, and we got 2 Back here, I think they're 17s, because usually they are bigger than the back ones. There's a 14 and it don't fit. So let me go grab a 17 and I'll see what we got here. All right, I grabbed a 16 and a 17, so we'll see which one it is. First choice is a 17 and it fits like a glove. We got to get this broke loose up front here real quick. It's going to be a little hard to do. We got a bolt in the way. So we might have to grab a 3-inch extension. Ugh. Yeah. That way we can get back in here, because you can't get the ratchet in here on its own, because you got a shock bolt in the way. I have to fix my ratchet after we're done with this job. Bottom one you can get without an extension, but since it's here, bottom one wants to be a pain. About half tempted to throw the big gun on it and just break it loose with the big gun. Yep, we're gonna break it loose with the big gun. Let me go get a 17 socket. We'll break this loose. When it wants to be stubborn, you be stubborn right back. That's how we do it. Now in this situation, if you needed to turn the wheel for whatever reason to get your gun in here, you can. It's a little different than on the back. And this one wants to be a pain, so we got to put a swivel on the end of it. So let me look at my half-drive swivel and I'll be right back. All right, let's try this. And take our gun part here. We'll put our 17 socket on our universal extension. I'm gonna have to find my adapter. Let me go get my adapter real quick. I think I know where it is. All right, let's try this. Put our adapter on for our impact. Get our impact set up on our assembly here. Make sure we're in reverse. Get it on the back side here and go to town. There it is. Got it. When it wants to be stubborn, you be stubborn right back. And the best part is my swivel didn't get broke, which is a shock. No Loctite on these bolts, by the way. They're just being stubborn. Just being stubborn. They've never been removed before. This is the first time this car has ever had a brake job. Hang on to your caliper bracket so it doesn't fall and hit the floor. Take it over here and lay it on your nice aluminum alloy wheel. Try not to scratch the wheel. The customer does not like it when you scratch their wheels. Look at that, we didn't even need those bolts, but we had them just in case. Look at that. We had them just in case. All right, so we'll take this rotor over. We'll look up the specs for it. So nominal is 1.181 and discard's 1.102. So let me get you back on the pod. We'll get you set up for measurement and then we'll get it measured. Because the way that the information tells me does not make any sense. So let's get you on the pod and get you to where you can see what we're doing here. And then I'll take the other side apart and we'll get these turned. It'll be too dark for me to film when we get back, so basically just do everything we did reversive installation with the exception of put your new hardware in. So let's go ahead and get our measurements. We got it set to inches. Zero it out. Make sure you have nothing on your tool. Alright, we'll zoom that on here like that. We're sitting at 1.191 on the first measurement. Rolled around. Our second measurement is 1.175. Rotate it a little bit more and we'll come back around another part here. 1.173. And our final measurement, 1.198. Okay, so discards 1.102. Nominals 1.181. So we got a little bit of play for this one. We'll go ahead and mark it with a D for driver. And then I'll go get the passenger side off. I'll run these over and get these done. I will try to film the end of this. We might have to have our wonderful assistant hold the light above my head so you can see what we're doing. But I promise we will get you an ending. So we'll see you here in a little bit. As I predicted, it's dark. We got our rotors back. I'm using the light off my car so that I can show you the part number for your front brakes. We're going after a light bulb as we speak, so stand by. This is your front brake part number. So we're going to get set back up and then we'll get these rotors done and then we'll be done. So just a moment. All right, we've hit the nighttime portion of the video. So I'm going to back you up just a little bit so I can get down in here. Got our rotor turned. Took a little longer than it should have, but that's okay. Got to clean our backing plate off. Give that a nice douching. And then we got to flip our rotor around here. Now you might notice there's a slight edge on here. And I'm going to tell you exactly how it goes. You can spend all night trying to get this perfect. As long as this part here is good, where the pad rides, anything out here on the edge is irrelevant. I guarantee you this brake will not pulse. I guarantee you that. Let's see if we can find our holes here. If you can't find the holes, just stick it on any other way. These aren't balanced or anything, so you don't worry about getting it right. You just have to get it back on the car. Alright, we got that part done. Alright, so in our kit we have hardware. We have our front and back rotor. This stuff here. You can use a screwdriver and open up your pack. Now these are the same, with one exception. And I just threw about everybody off that was listening to me right now because I said they were the same, but with one exception. Somebody in the comments is going to say, well, then they're not the same. And you're right. I just wanted to see if you were listening. This is your back pad. Okay? Well, maybe they are the same. Okay. This is your front pad. They're identical. Who'd have thunk it? Because if you look at the other two pads in the bag, they're the same. It's just, I don't know. Anyway, we're going to just disregard all of that and just keep on going. We got to get our caliper bracket ready. So our caliper bracket has these things. They're anti-rattle clips. They should all be the same. If they're not, we will figure it out. Alright, so to get these out, just peel them out. Set them over here to the side. Then we're going to clean this out. Like that. We're going to put new caliper pads in here. We're going to flex our pins if they are tight or if they don't move freely, then we will take the boots loose. We'll put some grease in there and put them back in, but these work pretty good, so we're going to leave them alone. We need to put our kits back together here, like that. And then this goes in down here like this. We can put this back on the car now. We're going to grease these. We can grease them now so you can see exactly how they go. So when you're greasing these, you want to just get down inside that little space right there. Like that. A little bit more grease. If you do it this way, you hopefully reduce the chances of it hitting your rotor, but if you do hit it on the rotor, just wipe it off. And then we put our caliper bracket back on this way. Just like we did the back. If you haven't watched that one yet, you can go take a peek at that one. Set these back in here till you hear a click. When you hear a click, then your caliper bracket's in the right spot and you tighten it down. There it goes. There it goes. All right, now we get our other bolt, put it in the bottom here. Sometimes you got to push the caliper bracket up against the spindle because sometimes it gets pulled out because of where the caliper sits. Then we just turn on our gun here. See if I can find my 17 socket. See if we get these put back together. That one. Come down here and get this one real quick. That one's done. Now that thing, when it stops at 60 foot-pounds. So I know that when that thing hits, it's already torqued. So I don't have to worry about torquing it. All right, now we got to get our pads installed. Lift that tang back so it pops in place. You're probably going to have to do that on the back too. I'm going to have to go grab another flashlight, so I'll be right back, guys. Alright, so here we go again. Had to go get a flashlight so I can get this back pad in. We're about done with the front brakes on this car. Ow. Gotta make sure that your pad's lining up right on the back side. There we go. Now we got our calipers. Now we got our pads installed. We got to dress up our caliper, and then we can put the caliper on, and we're done. So on this one, we want to put the grease on these tabs right here, and then you want to put them on the piston face like this here. After you're done and you got your wheels torqued to 88.5 foot-pounds, you want to take the car out, do a couple presses with it on the brake pedal. Make sure you have brake pressure before you take it out and drive it. You want to do some 35-mile-an-hour stops, and you want to do some 50-mile-an-hour stops, preferably with nobody around so that you don't run into nobody. After you do 2 or 3 of those, then the car can go back in service, because what you're doing at that point is what they call burnishing the pads. You're getting the pads and the rotor acquainted with each other. Then you can give the car back to the customer, or if you're doing this for yourself, you can let your wife drive it, or your husband, or your relative of some sort, because we all know we have them. So I'm gonna put the bottom bolt in on this side first. Does not matter which way these go. You can either do the top first or the bottom first, doesn't matter. What matters is that it goes on. These will also, when they're in the right position, you'll hear a click. And then you'll feel your thread start like that. Don't tighten them up till you have all your bolts in. So, like on the others, like the top one here, you'll hear a click. That was a weak click, but it was there. And you take your socket and you zip them back down. Make sure you cycle, if you did the back brakes video, make sure you cycle the parking brake a couple times before you drive it. I might have to go get my other socket. So I'll be right back. If this center piece spins right here, you can usually hold it with your fingers until the bolt gets down on it, then it'll stop spinning. And then I like to go back over with my hand ratchet and just make sure they're tight. Sometimes they don't get tight. And make sure these are tight. Torque spec for the small bolts is 15 foot-pounds. I think it said 22 foot-pounds for the bigger bolts. And then we can put the tire back on. So let me get in the position to do that. Get our tire put back on. I have to go get my 19 socket for that, but tire back on. Make sure that what I usually do is, if I'm doing all 4 wheels like I am here, I'll wait till I'm done with all the tires, and then I go back over them and do the rotation, or on the, I'll go back around and I'll tighten up the wheels with the torque wrench. But if you're doing just fronts, you can do it just on the front, or however you're doing it. Put your cone nuts back on here. Tighten them down, and then once it's tightened down, you can let the car down. I'm gonna leave the car up until I get the other side done. So this will do it for this video here. So if you have any comments or questions, or anything that you might need answered, just let me know down below. I'll come back around and tighten this up later. So I'm gonna get the other side done, and then I'm gonna be done for the day. So I will see you on the next one. And that's how you do your brakes on your 2018 Subaru Outback. Pretty straightforward. Not really a whole lot to do here, other than make sure that you've got all your tools and everything. I did a really good conversation about pad slapping in the rear brakes video, if you would like to listen to that. It explains why we go through and turn the rotors, or we replace the rotors. So please listen to that if you need any answers as to why we do that. Otherwise, we will see you on the next one.